for those of you, if you haven't, attended a Black Book Show before, just a little bit of background. So I set up the Black Book Show almost 3 years ago now. It was called the Black Books Webinar then. And over the last 3 years, I'm happy to say that I've had a total of, I think, almost 300 authors of African heritage from all over the world. So, some authors that are based in UK, some are in USA, some in Canada, Africa, Australia. So it's an international platform. It happens once a month. It's online via Zoom. It's also streamed on Facebook and Black Culture Radio. We started doing the collaboration with Auntie Jean's African Culture Market since last October, but I've been doing the platform, I believe it was since May 2020, so 3 years. Now, I would like to just now explain the format of the show. So what I will do is I'll just briefly, mention the author that's going to come on. You'll be hearing from a variety of different authors of African heritage that have written books on different genres. So it's not just one genre, just like children's books or just culture, history. So on the platform, I've had people that talk about mental health. I've had people that have talked about, overcoming illnesses like breast cancer, sickle cell. I've had people talk about finance, history, culture, children's books, dating, a variety of different topics we cover. I'm very much looking forward, to hearing the authors speak on this Black Book Show. I think it's a very strong female-led lineup of authors that will be speaking on this particular show. This evening, where I am based, I'm based in Ghana. I know many of you are in the UK. I know some of you are in USA. In that time, so if you're in USA, for most of you, I think it would be afternoon time. Now, I'm going to introduce the first author that's going to be speaking on the Black Book Show. She's going to be delivering a presentation about her books. This is Saye Carrie. Saye Carrie, she's the author of the book, Hidden Commonalities, Identifying Cultural Similarities Among Africans and African Descendants. And she's also written another book called Unraveling the Story of Black African Hair. So Saye Carrie, if you'd like to come on, introduce yourself, say where you're based, and then I know you've got a presentation that you want to deliver as well.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to Brother Sankofa and Auntie Jean for this virtual event, and much success to the authors on this panel. I'm Saye Carrie, and as what Brother Sankofa said, I'm an author of Hidden Commonalities, as well as Unraveling the Story of Black African Hair. I am based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in the United States. I'm going to go ahead and share my information about my books that I wrote. All right, the first book that I wrote, Hidden Commonalities, and I also have a hard copy of the book right here. Okay, I'm going to discuss the inspiration of Hidden Commonalities, the pride that I have for my cultural identities, wanting to help bridge the gap between Africans and African descendants. I'm first generation Liberian American. I'm also a descendant of 3 Liberian indigenous ethnic groups, such as Kron, Loma, Bassa, as well as a descendant of freed African descendants from the Barbados and the United States who repatriated to Liberia, along with recaptured Africans who intercepted from slave vessels by the US and British Navy after abolishing the slave trade in 1806. Many originated from the Central Africa, particularly the Congo River Basin. While spending my entire life in the United States, I observed many cultural groups within the Black race. Most of the groups consist of descendants of enslaved sub-Saharan Africans brought to the Americas, such as North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. There are also sub-Saharan Africans who have immigrated to the Western Hemisphere due to civil wars, coup d'etat, or for better opportunities. Throughout my life, I felt connected to Africans, African Americans or Black Americans, Afro-Caribbeans or West Indians, as well as Afro-Latinos, Latinas. because I saw myself in them. My father, a retired New York City social studies teacher, and some of his teachings involved Black history and African diaspora history. Growing up, we were big on discussing Liberia and the African diaspora. Throughout my own research, I saw our connections, which include food, music, dance, certain customs, hair, language, and the struggles we have endured. These groups often clash due to stereotypes, some cultural differences, language, and environmental factors. These clashes are known as African diasporan wars. Despite our differences, we share an affinity, which is Mama Africa. My focus is to dig deep down into our roots and show our commonalities, which can bring unification between us all. I'm going to talk about food connection. So in my first book, I talk about how we're connected based on food, the African influence within certain cuisines within the African diaspora. So I'm going to talk about African and Caribbean fufu. Kuku, tom-tom, mofongo, mango, fufu de plátano, and fungi are Caribbean versions of African fufu or ugali. What differentiates Caribbean fufu from its African ancestor is a denser texture with strong flavors. On the other hand, West and Central African fufu is more of a gelatinous dough and more of a consistent mass. Jollof rice and her descendants. Jambalaya and Gullah red rice. Jollof rice is a delicacy prepared throughout West Africa. The dish consists of rice, tomatoes, onions, spices, vegetables, meat, or seafood in a single pot. However, its ingredients and preparation vary across West Africa. The dish jambalaya is an offspring of Spanish paella and jollof rice. There's a variation between rural-style jambalaya and also New Orleans-style jambalaya in rural Louisiana. Jambalaya is brown because of the rice in the dish absorbs the sauce in which it is cooked. By tradition, it is cooked in cast iron pots due to the temperature the pot has while cooking. As a result, there is a complete caramelization of natural sugars in meat or seafood and vegetables. The brown coloring is then observed by the rice. In New Orleans, jambalaya is usually red because of the heavy use of tomatoes. The entire dish is also prepared in a single pot. The West African influence is also particularly strong throughout the Low Country region of the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And they're called the Gullah Geechee Nation cuisine. Gullah red rice is also a descendant of jollof rice. Red rice consists of tomatoes and smoked sausage, along with celery, bell peppers, and onions. The traditional vegetables are used for seasoning. Once Black people, whether they are from North America, Africa, Latin America, or the Caribbean, connect to enforce discipline and respect for each other, the split that has divided us will narrow. Then we can finally work together and combat problems our people face in Africa, the United States, and other African diasporan communities. I'm going to go ahead now and talk about my second book, Unraveling the Story of Black African Hair. No. Don't do that. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Don't do that. Go to your father. Okay, inspiration of unraveling the story of Black African hair. Share with others the shame I once had for my hair. Educate and show why hair plays a significant role in Black African culture. Present how we are still connected to the motherland with our hair. Here is my hair story. My first relaxer perm was at the age of 9. My last relaxer was April 2010. I transitioned from relaxed to natural hair May 2010 to March 2011. My first chop was March 2011. And I've been natural, it's been 12 years since I returned natural. And here's a cover of my second book. While viewing YouTube videos on natural hair, I stumbled across a video that was dedicated to natural hair, particularly type 4 hair like mine. As I watched, tears began rolling down my cheeks because I was blown away at how eccentric, beautiful, and healthy those ladies' hair was. That video captured ladies whose fros were so big they could reach the sky, and other gems with low-cut styles that brought out the beauty of their facial structure. After I saw this video, I began to regret ever chemically straightening my hair, and I was eager to work toward returning natural. Significance of Black African hair. For many generations, hair has been pivotal for Black women and girls. While some may think along the lines of it's just hair, Black women and girls know that there is a deep history to our hair, as well as deep trauma that has become attached to it. Due to the effects of chattel slavery, colonialism, and the media, it has been embedded in our perceptions that Eurocentric hair and beauty standards are the norm, and something we should aspire to. For generations, negative connotations have been placed on our hair, including descriptions such as nappy, ugly, woolly, pelo mayo, bad hair, or rough. As time passes, though, we are starting to see and accept the beauty and distinctiveness of our hair. Though others may ask why hair is such a big deal for us, what they fail to understand is that the importance of our hair started with our African foremothers. Hair and hairstyles were identifiers of social status and even ethnic groups. Although some of us were not born in Africa or else in a lineage whose people have been out of Africa for hundreds of years, the significance of hair remains planted in our genes. In Africa, hairstyles were used to represent a person's marital status, age, religion, ethnic identity, wealth, and rank within the community. For instance, royalty often wore elaborate hairstyles to represent their stature. Hair was also an emblem of fertility. If a person's hair was thick, long, and neat, this signified that they were able to bear healthy children. If someone was in mourning, they would pay minimal attention to their hair. Due to hair being a part of one's body, ancient communities also believed that hair helped with divine communication. With this belief, hairstyling was entrusted to close relatives. It was thought that if a strand of hair fell into the hands of an enemy, harm could come to the hair's owner. Cornrows. Braids, particularly cornrows, are a popular hairstyle among Africans and people of African descent. Cornrows in ancient style are widespread in Africa, where for a long time they have represented a wide range of social terrain such as religion, kinship, status, age, and ethnicity. Other forms of identity can be expressed in hairstyle. Braiding transmits cultural values between generations, expresses bonds between friends, and establishes the role of professional practitioner. The same bond of braiding hair has been preserved in many African diaspora communities as well. Throughout Africa and the diaspora, braids are not only the style that many Black girls wear growing up, but they are also a representation of who we are. Ways to connect with me. You can connect with me Facebook and Instagram, and my name is Saye Carrie. That's SayeCarrie. My books are available at www.sayecarrie.com, and my books are also available on my website and major booksellers such as Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. So that was Saye Carrie. Please as well remember to put your links in the Zoom chat as well. For people to access if they're interested in purchasing a copy of your book, or not staying in contact with you on social media handles, etc. Right. I'm now going to go on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is author Dr. Veronica Anderson. I actually had the pleasure recently to interview her for the Black Books radio show and podcast. So for those who don't know, as well as doing the virtual book tour, I also am a radio presenter on Luton Urban Radio and Galaxy Radio. There are two radio stations that broadcast in the UK, but people can listen to it anywhere in the world that they've got internet connection. It broadcasts internationally, and that's why I interview authors, to talk about their books. And I recently interviewed the next author who's going to be speaking, Veronica Anderson, about her book, Get the Respect You Deserve, 7 Secrets to Getting Seen and Heard in Your Job and Your Relationships. So I'm now going to invite Veronica Anderson onto the Black Book Show virtual book tour. Dr. Veronica Anderson, if you please just start by, introducing yourself, by saying where you're based, a bit about who you are, and then, go on to tell us all about the book you've written.
Thank you so much, Makonnen. I'm so happy to be here. I really appreciate you inviting me and reaching out for this. My name is Dr. Veronica Anderson, and you can find me at drveronica.com, drveronica.com. I will say that at the end. I am originally trained as a physician, an eye physician and surgeon. That's where I started my professional career. And I have transitioned away from that to a psychic intuitive guide and relationship coach. And you're going to say, well, how did that happen? And what happened is I started realizing that I had these skills, these gifts, these visions that a lot of other people didn't have. And because I was and still am a conventionally trained Western medicine physician, I was scared to talk about this, even though it was there. And I started to realize, though, that it was allowing me to be able to help people from a physical perspective and know what was wrong with them and what to tell them. But then I started realizing I know things about people emotionally and spiritually and just all types of visions and gifts. And being someone who has been part of the African-American community in different religions. My name is Veronica because my parents were Catholic when I was born, and I was named after a saint, Saint Veronica. But as in my adult life, I had been in a Baptist church. And for people who have skills like me, if they're called prophetess, it's okay. But if they're called something else, a lot of times it's not something that people have necessarily been accepting of. But what happened is I had a big crash in my life because of this type of thing. I decided at one point, I had my own very successful eye surgery practice, making a good amount of money, as you can imagine. In eye surgery is considered one of the Rolls-Royce specialties because it makes good money and it has a good lifestyle. And I was married to a gentleman who was my college sweetheart. He is an investment banker in private equity. We were living the life over in America with everything that everybody wanted from a success standpoint. But then I realized that I was miserable. I felt unhappy in this particular life. And I decided one day, and I will tell you, I didn't have the life that a lot of people say of the hard knocks life. I've been extremely chosen and blessed. And so that's what made it even harder for me to walk away from one life to the other. But that's part of the story of this. So once I realized what was going on, it came to me that was a revelation that it was me and I needed to be happy. And so even though I had the material life that people want, houses, cars, diamonds, furs, meeting all kinds of well-heeled and some famous people, I felt miserable because I was not on my master path in life. And so one day I decided to walk away from everything. I walked away from my medical practice that I had started from patient zero. I walked away from my marriage, and I walked away from religion. And I crashed and burned. I had a very severe clinical depression, and I got out of it. And so after I got out of it, I was able to embrace the side of me that I was afraid of, which is the intuitive side. And I didn't just do it all by myself. I did it with the help of a really learned psychologist, African-American woman, thank you, and also lots of teachers and coaches. And so when I came out of the closet, I came out of the closet as a medical intuitive. And I ended up becoming a coach because other healthcare practitioners, doctors started coming to me and say, how do you do that? And how do you have the courage to say you can do that? So that has transitioned into me being a life transformation coach, a relationship guide, even way back before I was helping people with their relationships formally. I was on national TV shows when I was an ophthalmologist, but the chyron said, the line under it said relationship expert. So even before I claimed it really as a profession, I was on TV talking about relationship type stuff and helping people with it. So it comes to my book. It is called, and it can be gotten on Amazon, Get the Respect You Deserve. Get the Respect You Deserve. 7 Secrets to Be Seen and Heard in Your Job and Relationships. And it talks about what I call my particular method to help people, the respect method. And I'm going to share my screen with you just so I can tell you about the respect method. And play for, okay, there we go. Here's the respect method. Every letter stands for something so you can remember it easily. So when I'm teaching and coaching people, I'm like, just go down and do one or all of the steps. You don't necessarily have to do it in order, but I would recommend it highly. Number 1, reflect and take radical responsibility. This is about really admitting to yourself where you are and why you are there. And when I say take radical responsibility, especially if you are an adult, take the responsibility and surrender and empower yourself and realize that you have created everything you have in your life. And a lot of times people want to point fingers at other people. This is why I talk about this, because when I was feeling miserable in my marriage, I could point fingers at my former husband, but I don't do that. I'm happy and grateful that we had the marriage that we did, and I created what I did, which was I, in a way, did not respect myself and my own wishes. And so I had created a circumstance, even though it was gorgeous by most people's standard, that was making me unhappy because I wasn't being who I was supposed to be. And that's using my intuitive ability. So the first thing is to look in the mirror and say, I'm here because I created it. Whether it's ugly or it's absolutely beautiful, take responsibility that you created. Now, if there's something ugly that has happened or is happening, realize that universal law says the same thing on that bad side. There's also the same thing on the good side or another good side. That's called the law of polarity. So if there's that on one side, on the other side, there's that other thing you can grasp. But the first thing is you have to admit where you are and believe that you can change it. The second part is E is for evaluate your beliefs. Where did you get those beliefs from? One of the important things to think about is a lot of the beliefs that we get are not necessarily our own. We started off talking about our ancestors and all that. Yes, that's all well and good, but some of those beliefs may not work for you right now, and you need to evaluate what beliefs you need to throw away because they're absolutely dysfunctional, and which ones you want to hold on to and embrace. If they are not serving you, if they are not making you happy, you need to figure out what to replace that belief with. That's the second step that I help people go through. The fun step to me, the most fun step to me is the S, which is surrender to your spirit. We are all talk about being spiritual beings having a physical experience. Yes, that's true. And I like to work with people and actually show them who they are from a spiritual perspective. One of the tools I use in this is human design, where people can see what type they are and their particular spiritual DNA. But this is the section that I also do intuitive assessments and reading from people, read their energy to talk about what they are and where they are. And also look at things like I'm also a Colby certified consultant and show people what their instincts are. Just a little bit aside. There's 3 pieces to us where we tend to get all caught up in. The 3 I's: imprinting, instincts, and intuition. Imprinting, we have been imprinted with our genetics, with our family, with all the things that have happened to us. And a lot of imprinting happens before the age of 7. So we're part of the way we are, and we're attracted to people we're attracted to, or repelled by other people because of this imprinting a lot of times. And we don't even realize why it is. But then there's instincts, and instincts are how you do something, how you choose to take action. And we all do that differently. For instance, this is where the Colby comes in. I'm what's called a quick start. That means I'm very visionary, very innovative. And the first way I'm going to take action when I'm left to my own devices is to innovate and to do things like that. It's why when I go on shows like this, I don't have a script, because I'm always going to wing it and innovate it. If I try to have a script, it's going to fall flat. But on the other side, there are people who are fact finders. That's their instinct. They're going to have all their ducks in a row, all their research together. They're never going to feel like they know enough, because that's how they take action. But that's their natural instinct. And so in this surrender, we need to learn how to relax into how we do things naturally and love that. On the other side, my spiritual DNA, my human design, some of you may resonate with this. I'm what's called a projector, a 5-1 splenic projector. It means naturally, I'm intuitive, in the moment, in a nanosecond, and I'm meant to be, not do. I'm meant to be. I was made uniquely to be a wise guide. And so I help people understand their purpose and destiny in surrendering to their spirit. And then they learn what does spiritual intelligence look like. There's 12 parts of that. And then also, how do you cultivate the fruits of the spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control towards you and love you. That's surrender to your spirit. The next step, P, is for a pause. And this is the area where it's so hard for people to do this. There's 2 parts of pausing. One is just taking time and space for yourself. In order for all the good things to come in your life, you have to have time for it to come in your life and space for it to come in your life. So that means part 2, you need to stop doing things that don't work. Hit the pause. And part of this pause is also putting a pause on people pleasing and starting to please yourself. The second E is for elevate your energy. And I'm going to just go forward a little bit. I want you to show, I have these all on the slide, but I want to show you elevate your energy, because this is the map of consciousness. We all have consciousness that has been measured by Dr. Hawkins. This is the map of consciousness. And you need to, in order to really fly in life, to let go of the lower levels of consciousness, shame, guilt, apathy, grief, all of that is pulling you down. And let me say something about that's important as a physician, as a healthcare practitioner. This is where physical illness and injury lies, in these areas of lower consciousness. If you have any illness or injury, this is what's happening to you. You have to learn to elevate your energy if you want to be healthy physically, as well as emotionally and spiritually. And so in this elevate your energy, you see at the top of the consciousness scale, you get to reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. We all talk about love, but really, you're not going to be in that level and vibration of love. And when you're in the right vibration, you attract who you are. So if you have poor results in your life right now, whether that be in any of your relationships, it's because you're vibrating lower and you're getting exactly where you're vibrating. Now, that's the hard, cold truth. A lot of us don't like to admit to, but here I am here as part of my life purpose to help you be able to let go of those lower levels of consciousness, vibration, emotions, to be able to rise up. Because every time you can let go of shame, when the young lady Saye was talking about letting go of shame about hair. And, we talk about food and our body types, and where you can let go of shame, guilt, apathy, and grief.
Okay,
Then,
Dr. Veronica, just be mindful of time. You've just got a couple of minutes, so just be mindful of time, please.
Yeah, and I'm coming to the end. Okay, and C goes to commit to values and boundaries. And so after you get through all that, you can learn what values are yours and what boundaries to keep place in the 5 areas of your life: health, money, career, purpose, relationships, and spirituality and personal growth. And then the final T is about trust and take action. You need to learn how to trust yourself. Nothing outside of yourself. Everything you need is within you, but you haven't been taught how to trust yourself. You've been taught to trust your parents. You've been taught to society. You've been taught about the God. Well, God, spirit, universe is in you. And so what I want to say as the end is the respect method helps you love and be you, be a better you. And that's what the book is called. Get the respect you deserve. And you get respect you deserve by learning the steps to respect yourself. And automatically, when you learn how to deeply love and respect yourself, other people respect you too, and you start getting who you want and what you want in life. So I'm Dr. Veronica Anderson. My book is Get the Respect You Deserve. You can get it on Amazon. And you can also find me at drveronica.com. And finally, if you're thinking, well, what's going on in my relationships? On my website, drveronica.com, I have a relationship quiz that has 36,000 responses to it already, where you can learn what is your number 1 relationship mistake. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Veronica Anderson. Please leave your details in the Zoom chat as well, in case people can want to contact you. Can you just mention your website again, obviously, for the relationship quiz and your books that are available?
drveronica.com, drveronica.com. I will put it in the chat, and I'll go over to Facebook too and put it there.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Veronica Anderson. As I mentioned, I recently interviewed her on the Black Book Show. So that interview will be coming out very soon. I'm just going to share my screen now. So hopefully everyone should be able to see my screen. So the Black Book Show Facebook group, to keep up to date with the latest information regarding the Black Book Show, such as, when my radio shows are. I've got a radio show tomorrow on Luton Urban Radio, and then on Saturday on Galaxy Radio, but also information about events such as virtual book tours or info about the authors that are featuring on the Black Book Show. You can join the Black Book Show Facebook group. Simply put, the Black Books Show on Facebook. It will come up, and then you can join the group. The interview that I did with Dr. Veronica Anderson will be coming out soon in the future, but if you're part of the Black Book Show Facebook group, you can find out exactly when it will be coming out. Right, I'm now going to introduce the author who's going to be speaking next, and it's T.A. Broady. And she is the author of this book called Reaching New Heights, 60 Days of Affirmations. So T.A. Broady, I'm now going to invite you to come on the platform. Please start by telling us where you're based and a quick introduction about yourself, and then tell us all about your book, Reaching New Heights.
Thank you, Makonnen. I'm T.A. Broady, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank Auntie Jean and Makonnen Sankofa for this great opportunity to bring authors and publishers together to share insight on our books. I appreciate it. I learned about this from a previous friend who participated in an event, I believe it was back in January. So thank you for this opportunity. My name is T.A. Broady, and I am based in the United States in Northern Virginia, right outside of the Washington, D.C. area. And my first book is entitled Reaching New Heights, 60 Days of Affirmations. And then I also have a journal, which is the Reaching New Heights journal, that can work along with the affirmation book. But I'm just going to give you a brief little story about me just to start out. One day, the phenomenal woman and the brains behind the pen realized it was time to officially put her words on paper and allow her voice to be heard. And then Creatively Inspired LLC was created. It was birthed. A passionate writer that finally decided to take a leap and publish her first book in the fall of 2022, which then leads to Reaching New Heights, 60 Days of Affirmations, and then the Reaching New Heights Journal. Reaching New Heights is designed to speak positivity and affirming power into our lives. We are simply amazing and need to speak our greatness into existence. And it's time that we learn to speak these positive and affirming words over our lives, finances, family, and specifically over our children. So why 60 days? You may ask. Why 60 days, you might ask. In 60 days, things can change. Things can turn around, and we can be able to help others. The life of someone else, sometimes it's just time to use our authority and to speak, so that we can speak over our situations. We must use our wisdom, live with an open heart, and stay ready to learn and share our knowledge. Remain filled with appreciation and continue to help others, even amid our storms. The beauty of an affirmation is the words can manifest anything you desire in your life. I declare abundance in myself, my family, my friends, and associates. Every morning I have grown to believe has an essential plan that requires acknowledging the blessings when you wake up. You have been allowed the opportunity to see another day and to create change. We can establish a positive shift no matter what has happened in the past days or even in our past lives. This book, Reaching New Heights, 60 Days of Affirmations, is intended to bring hope and to let you know that anything is possible and you are capable of beginning brand new every day. We must choose to wake up with a positive attitude and become a resource instead of opting for a negative impact and establishing a depressing and bitter atmosphere. I have discovered that being an inspiration to my surroundings can change the day for better and force the crankiest individual to reveal a tiny smile. What do you choose? Are you prepared to release your inner voice? My newest vision has been to create a 60-day plan of affirmations to support the positive beginning to your day. My goal is for the affirmations to kickstart your day with creativity and ideas. More specifically, I would love to be instrumental in facilitating others to see that even when things did not look bright in the past, that new possibilities allow us to start our morning with a positive way ahead. Created within this 60-day plan are words that can help establish an atmosphere of hope when spoken out loud. It is my desire to provide support during any life transition and perhaps generate the fire in your soul to achieve your goals, your dreams, and even allow you to see that your vision can become a reality. Lastly, we must manifest excellence, creativity, and the desire to become a leader in our children. The final sections in my book of affirmations consist of words that should be shared with and spoken into the lives of our young people, our young men and women, and begin speaking these words while in the womb so that when they arrive in this cruel world, they will still have the vision to infinite possibilities. I want to share with you the first affirmation in my book, and it's entitled Affirmations to Begin the Week. Begin my week. I will begin this week with a brilliant fire in my soul. My outlook says all things are possible. My priorities are in place, and I can see the reward coming into sight. I will reach new heights and expand my view. Available resources, known and unknown, will be readily available to me. There are 7 days within a week, and I plan to utilize each day to grow to a new level. Where I may stumble and fall, I will move to a new elevation. My help comes from above. I am filled with joy and gratitude. This week will be incredible, and I expect that for you too. Now, what I have done a little differently in my book is, following each affirmation, I have a series of questions and a space that you can journal. And so for this particular affirmation, my 4 questions that I have are: how will you prioritize your week? What are your goals for this week? And what will you do to make this week better than last week? And lastly, what have you done to expand your knowledge in the past 30 days? Also, after preparing my book, I also created a bookmark. And it's 6 minutes to a better mindset. Read, meditate, and journal. Speak your future into existence. And I decided to incorporate that with the books as well. Now, as I was telling you, I have also developed a journal. And so my theory with the journal is, of course, you can incorporate the two together, but the Reaching New Heights journal and writing plan, it asks you a series of questions, and then it just helps to, help you to generate your thoughts as to how to get to the next level. So I ask you, have you ever thought about what gives you peace and would allow you to create an impact on others? The inspiration to me of journaling provides the opportunity to connect our thoughts and feelings while we gain an understanding of how to face our everyday challenges and our fears. The Reaching New Heights journal and writing plan will jumpstart your morning as you begin journaling responses to the questions and answers portion of the 60 days of affirmations. Additionally, you may wish to journal things that you need to do, starting with your most important task. As you scratch off your to-do list, you will begin to see your progress. The inspiration of journaling provides the opportunity to connect our thoughts and feelings while we gain an understanding of how to face our everyday challenges and our circumstances. Now, when we are evolving, you must take notes. Once you enter your vision and thoughts into your journal, it will allow you to see that you are doing or need to do what you need to do to move forward to achieve your desired results. Now, my initial start of the writing plan was to start your journal entries by answering some questions. And the questions that I start with are: do you know what makes you happy? Can it make an impact? And do you know how you can accomplish your goals? And it was sort of ironic that Dr. Veronica was sort of speaking on the same subject as well. We try to make others happy, and we don't always make ourselves happy. And I think that's what we as women are focusing on now. We are moving forward to make ourselves happy, along with, taking care of our families, but just making sure that we do what we need to do to keep ourselves, in the light, keep ourselves happy. I can be found on www.creativelyinspired, and that's CREATIVELY, inspired, INSPIRED.org. I can be found on Instagram at creativelyinspired_. And then Facebook, I have a Facebook group, which is entitled Creatively Inspired. And you can also find me on Facebook as T.A.Broady. So pretty simple to locate me.
Okay, thank you very much. T.A. Broady, are you finished, or is there anything else that you would just like to add?
No, I can incorporate my links into the link for everyone.
Yes, please do put it into the Zoom chat. Thank you very much for coming on the platform. That's T.A. Broady, Reaching New Heights, 60 Days of Affirmations. I'm now going to introduce our next author. who's going to be speaking. I recently interviewed her on the Black Book Show radio show and podcast, which is now available to listen to. I'm going to share the link in a moment, but I want you to first hear her speak. She is Lisa Bennett. Lisa Bennett, she's author of the book Just Keep Living, Conversations with Granny. Lisa, if you would like to now come on the platform, please start by telling us where you're based, briefly introduce yourself to the audience, and then, tell us all about the book we've written.
Hello, and thank you, everyone. Thank you again for including me in this dynamic program. I appreciate the exposure and the camaraderie and the friendships and support that will come out of this for folks. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So as he said, my name is Lisa Bennett. I'm the author of Just Keep Living, Conversations with Granny. And while I'm sitting here listening to some of your stories, it put me in the mind of, so Dr. Veronica came on and talked about the life that she led, and I could so much easily identify with what you were saying, Dr. Veronica. I grew up in middle class, I guess I just say middle class America. My parents were both not naval, but military officers. I had a really good life. But the difference for me is that my dad, although my dad did very well in life, he did not raise me. I was raised by my mother and my aunt, my grandmother. My dad was military. He did a lot of black bag, what they called secret operations back then in the 60s. And so I didn't actually physically meet him in person until I was in my 30s. That's a whole nother book that will come out at some point about why that was necessary for his life. But anyway, my mom was in the military, then she got out and she went to nursing school as part of the GI Bill. And her younger sister, my grandmother was a domestic. And so my grandmother got to a point where she was raising my mom and her sisters, and she knew she could not take them further. And so my mother's alternative was to go in the military. So my mom gets out of the military. She knows that she has this GI Bill, so she's going to go back to school. But when my mom was in school, I watched she and my grandmother scrub floors. And she would say for white folks, she was born in Jim Crow 1924, so that's just the way she talks. Doesn't matter that we've got a little better in the country, she still say white folks and black folks. But anyway, I did watch my mother and grandmother have some hard times though, because my mother was in school full time and she was working full time trying to provide for my younger brother and I. And I made a promise to myself, although, again, my dad was supportive financially, he just was not there. But I didn't know the extent to which he was helping. But anyway, I had made a promise to myself that I didn't want to see my grandmother do that anymore. And so I did what Dr. Veronica talked about. I grew up, had a very good practice. I was a consultant with the largest consulting firm in the world. I was the only African-American female executive with my consulting firm in the Midwest. And so was doing quite well and got to the point where I had several material things, houses, cars, boats, all this kind of stuff, and living what we would call the good life materially, could do whatever I wanted. And it got to the point where my mother and grandmother, and nobody had to work anymore. I could provide all the material things they needed. But what I was not counting on was my daughter had always said, I want to live with grandma when I get to high school. So my daughter was living with my mom. We're going to fast forward to 2013-14. My daughter was living with my mom in Indiana, and I was still in New York. And she called me, she said, grandma's sick and I'm so not supposed to tell you. And so I did not realize that my mother had gotten sick and my aunt had gotten sick. So I'll fast forward, 2014 came, I found out that they were both struggling with some health things, and they hadn't said anything to me because they were going, you were living your life, doing your thing, and you were providing a lot for the family. I get home and unexpectedly my aunt passes away. So they're sicker than I realized. And then my mom's doing okay, but she's struggling. She and my aunt are what people refer to as Irish twins. They were about a year apart, but they were just so close that they just did not know how to live without each other and how to watch TV without each other. They just, were each other's best friends for everything. And so my aunt passed away in August of 2015. And then my mom looks at me and my cousin and says to us on Christmas morning of December 2015, I can't do this. I don't want to do this without my sister. And my mother dies 10 days later. Again, unexpectedly. So my world just shattered because, again, I had achieved the dream of having them be able to travel and do what they wanted to do, never thinking in a million years that they would just be plucked out of the middle of my universe. And I would find myself struggling to figure out how to just move through life without them. The ironic thing was that my grandparents were all still alive and in their 90s. So it meant for my cousins and I have a younger brother. My mom had 2 children. My aunt had 2 children. It meant that we now had to caretake for my grandparents. And it was such a depressive situation for me because, again, although my dad I knew who he was, my day-to-day, my parents, the people that built me, the people I depended on were my aunt and my mom. And for them to just die back to back within 4 months of each other, I was just completely lost. I got depressed. I couldn't service my clients. I took some time off, and then I became suicidal, and I tried to take my own life in a couple of months after my mom died. So it was about April of 2016. I was in the hospital, hooked up to all of these machines, kind of fighting for my life, not really wanting to be there, but I had my grandparents standing over me, being very upset with me, saying, what is wrong with you? You don't get to decide when the journey's over. God is in control of this. You don't get to just check out because you feel bad. We all go through stuff. You have to keep living. You have to just keep living. God's got work for you to do. And my grandmother says, and if you die, who's going to take care of us? And I go, this is not even about you, but okay. And so the ironic thing about that is when I was growing up as a kid, my grandmother believed in 2 things, and that was church and work. She would not participate in going to the movies and going to carnivals or just any what we call extracurricular activity. And I would say to her, Granny, why don't you go to the movies with us? And why don't you do these kinds of things with us? And she'd say, Lisa, in the Bible, they say the only thing that you're supposed to do is praise God all night and all day. And if I don't see any reason for doing any of that other stuff, because what you do on earth is what's loosed in heaven and vice versa. So if I'm not working for practical means to survive, I'm just going to stay in praise mode. And so I would say to her, why did you do this? And why did you do that? And she said, I'm 50 and you're 5. I could tell you why I made those decisions, but you just haven't been here and had enough experience at life. You just keep living and you're going to figure out why I make the decisions I make. So it's kind of ironic to me that at the point in which I fast forward and tried to take my own life, she comes in and says that same exact thing. You just keep living. God's not done with you. He's got a journey. And she'd say, you got a mighty work for you to still do. And I was just like, okay. So for the next 2 years, my grandmother made it her business. I obviously had to get some psychiatric help. I had a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I was going to therapy, but my grandmother made it her daily business to interact me in a way and to have conversations with me in a way that were meaningful. Like, I want to engage you. I'm going to make sure that you are up on what's going on in the world. I want to be sure that you are aware that God has more work for you to do. So she would engage me in these day-to-day conversations that on the surface seemed kind of silly and passé, but really had a lot of depth and meaning to them. So I'll give you an example. She called me one day. I was off with a client and I was in Michigan, and she called me, and my clients all know, and my grandmother knew that she doesn't call me. I would talk to her in the morning before I meet with a client, in the afternoon, and then once in the evening before I went to the bed at my hotel. And she called me. She said, "Hurry!" She followed me over and over again. So I said to my client, "It must be an emergency," because she knows not to call me like this. And I pick up the phone. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Oh, Jesus, oh my Lord, oh God, Lord, Lisa, have you seen the news? Lord Jesus, have mercy. He's gone, he's gone, he's gone." And I'm thinking, oh my God, something's happened to my brother. What's going on? And she said, "Oh Lord, did you see the news?" At the same time, I'm puzzled because I'm going, well, why would my brother be on the news? what's going on? And she said, no, not him. And I'm going, well, why is this important? Why would you be dragging me out of a meeting if it's not to see what's going on with my brother? She says, no, the short guy, the purple guy. And I said, what purple guy? What are you talking about? And she said, what we gonna do? And it hits me. I said, well, Granny, are you talking about Barney? I mean, what are you talking about that's on the news? She says, no, the purple guy that plays the guitar. And I go, what? And she says, Prince. And I go, Prince? That's not an emergency. He's not related to us. Why are you calling me? And she says, no, Lisa, but look at it. Isn't there going to be any more purple rain or raspberry rain? Oh, Lord, I can't believe he's gone. And I'm going, and she hangs up the phone. And so I'm going, you 94 years old. What the heck you know about Prince and Purple Rain? And so she would just, you know, it's like, how does a 90-something-year-old woman keep up with what's going on TV? Let me give you one other thing that she said she did to me. I come in the house and she says, hey, Lisa, she said, that eclipse thing. Everybody's running out to see that eclipse thing. I said, yeah. She said, well, why? Don't it make you blind? I said, well, yeah, Granny, if you stare at it too long, yes, it could make you blind. She said, I just don't understand why folks always in a hurry to see things that God doesn't want them to see. If he wanted you to look at that thing, you wouldn't need no special kind of glasses and all that stupid stuff, and it wouldn't make you blind. I said, well, you know, it only happens, it is an anomaly. It doesn't happen very often. So people want to take the opportunity. She says, that's just stupid. She said, you know, the lady in the Bible, the one that was married to Lot, I said, yeah, she turned around and looked back one time and she turned to salt. People need to stop doing what God don't want them to do. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, okay, that's a revelation too. So my point is, my grandmother, we're going to fast forward. So she's engaging me like this for the next 3 years. And then May comes along, I should say February 2019, and my grandmother gets sick. And ultimately she dies in May of 2019. I stayed in the hospital with my grandmother from February through May. I leave for 5 nights during that time to go sleep at home. And in those 5 nights, if you get the book, you will find out what she did those 5 nights that were pulling jokes on the hospital staff and that kind of stuff. But when she dies in May of 2019, I start to spiral back down and get depressed again. And as I'm journaling and my clinicians are asking me to journal, the only thing I can think about, the only thing that I can remember, the only thing that I'm conscious of is the stories that my grandmother has filled my head with for the last 3 years. And so I start to journal about the stories, and then I share a couple of them on Facebook. And I literally shared a story and woke up the next day and it was 800 shares of one of the stories. And so my cousins go, you have to keep sharing because 1, it's helping you, but 2, it's obviously helping other people because people that I've never heard of are responding saying, oh my God, your grandmother was full of wisdom. Thank you for sharing this. I was going through something that story helped me through. And so ultimately what I have done is taken some of the stories that she and I shared during that period. I've put them in the book. It's called Just Keep Living. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's called Just Keep Living Conversations with Granny. My backdrop is a copy of the book cover, and I have a t-shirt on right now with the title on it, Just Keep Living. And we sell more of these t-shirts, man. We sell, sometimes I'll go to book signings and sell more t-shirts than I do books because people over the years can identify with having had an elder in their family say, just keep living and you'll understand what I'm dealing with and what I'm going through. So, I mean, I was blessed with having a grandmother that was astute enough to recognize how bad I was struggling and to fill my head with those stories because that's what kept me when I started to spiral out of control again. That's what kept me rooted in her wisdom. And so I've been sharing that book, and I'll tell you this, the book has won about 6 awards at this point. I've been featured in probably 10 to 12 magazines, and it even got consideration for the NAACP Image Awards this past a couple of weeks ago. So I'm grateful for having had that multi-generational living. I'm grateful for all of the stories. I'm grateful that my grandmother was, again, a student enough. She had a 3rd grade education, but she could tell you everything that was going on in the world. And when we get older people to engage us like that.
Hey,
and
Lisa,
to remind
Lisa,
us.
you've got 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Just letting you know you've got 2 minutes left.
Absolutely. When we get older people in our lives who can engage us and remind us that God has a journey for us, and then not only remind us, but help us create the content. I was creating content unconsciously, and now I'm able to help other people in their transitions. So I'm going to give you 2 other statistics, because these are the things, and this is where my book is really helping. I'm part of the LGBTQ community. There are 1.8 million LGBTQ youth between the ages of 13 to 24 who try to commit suicide every year. Hopefully my book and them seeing somebody as the part of their community put out a book will help them. My parents were both military, and there are 22 to 44 military vets who commit suicide every day. And so again, my goal is that this book will help people have some hope and see that there are some things in life that they can depend on, and just keep living. God's got purpose for you. You can buy my book. Just keep livingbook.com. Amazon and all of the major networks have, and outlets, retail outlets have the book available.
Your thanks and congratulations on your outcomes. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Lisa M. Bennett, author of the book, Just Keep Living, Conversations with Granny. I'm just going to do a screen share now before I bring on a next author. So you guys should be able to see my screen now. So this is the screen. Now, I want to take you to the Black Book Show's website. So this is www.blackbookshows.com. If you put that in, I'm just going to say that slowly, www.blackbookshows.com. This will take you to the homepage of the Black Book Show's website. So here you can see, some of the authors. These are some of the authors, their books that have come on the show previously, not all of them, because we've had almost 300 authors that have been on the show over the last 3 years, but some authors that are featured previously. So this is ABC Come and Skank With Me, A to Z, Reggae Legends, written by Kareem Campbell. I'm going to go now. This is a book, History Through the Black Experience, Simon Hudson. He's featured on the virtual book tour and also on the radio show and podcast. So has Karen Vaughan. She has written the book, The Essence of a Woman, Bold, Beautiful, and Resilient. Again, she's featured on the virtual book tour and also on the radio show and podcast. Nicole Bennett Blake, The Good Parent and the Happy Child. She's been on the virtual book tour and the Black Book Show podcast. So if you go on the website, there's various different sections, so you can watch the videos of the previous virtual book tours. If you click on this link, virtual book tour videos, the February video has come out. I just need to update it here on the website, but it has the links to the previous shows, like January, December, November, dating back to July 2022. So if you go on here, you can check out some of the previous editions if you've missed them, catch up on them on demand. Now the radio shows and podcast. We are seeking more Black authors who would like to feature on the Black Book Radio Show, as well as the virtual book tours. If you're an author and you would like to feature on the virtual book tour, or indeed the radio show and podcast, you can please get in contact with me via the website. You can fill in this form here, submit your name, email address, and leave a message. I'm going to put my details in the Zoom chat as well. Or you can, message me, info@blackbookshows.com. That is info@blackbookshows.com. Or send me a message via WhatsApp. And my WhatsApp number is +44 7943 178 117. That is +44 7943 178 117. I'm currently in Ghana, so if you're calling from like UK, USA, or other parts of the world, please send me a message or call via WhatsApp. Obviously, don't call me right now because I'm hosting the show, but you could send me a message or call me, at a time outside of the show that I'm hosting. And then I will obviously speak to you about possibly featuring your book on one of the virtual book tours or indeed radio show and podcasts in the future. Now, the radio show and podcast, I'm a presenter on 2 stations, Luton Urban Radio and also Galaxy Afiwi.net Galaxy Radio. Luton Urban Radio every other Monday and Galaxy Radio every other Saturday. Now, my next radio show is actually tomorrow, on Monday, the 27th of March. and then I'm on Galaxy on Saturday. Now, in case, for example, you're not able to listen to any of the radio shows live, as I mentioned before, you can join the Black Book Show Facebook group to find out all the information about the upcoming radio shows. Just put in the Black Book Show on Facebook, and you can join the group. And then I normally post the details in there, so you will know where you can go to listen to my radio shows. I do put the interviews of the podcast on demand. So if you, for example, if you want to, listen back to one of the interviews, just for example, this is episode 25, you click on it, and then, it will take you to Spotify, where you can listen to, the episode 25, featuring interview. This one was featuring Lisa and Bennett, Dr. Sandra Ingham, and Bradley Candy. But the episodes, they are various different authors on the different episodes. I've currently uploaded 25 of them. So you can literally select the episode that you want to listen to, and then you can listen to the interview. Episode 24, very good show with Dr. Mama Adjua. She was on the Black Book Show last month talking about her book called The Overstayer. And also had Ramona Miles on that episode of 24 talking about her book Life Along the Nile magazine, and her experience of living in Egypt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on to the next author. The next author is, I'm going to put the details in the Zoom chat of where you can reach out to me as well. The next author is Abimbola O Alake, and she's author of the book called The Things Father Did Not Teach Us, a collection of poems for young people. So Abimbola O Alake, if you would like to come onto the platform, please start by saying where you're based, introduce yourself, and then tell us all about the book that you've written. Abimbola, are you okay? You're there. We're not hearing your audio for some reason. I'm still not getting your audio. Is it just me or is anyone else? Can you let me know? Because I can't hear her audio. I can see
No, I
talking.
can't hear.
Abimbola, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a private message. I will come back to you. I'm going to speak to Tulu.
Sorry, speak again.
Tulu.
Was she just speaking then?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can
we
hear
can hear
you.
you now.
Oh, great. Okay, so I said my name is Abi, and I'm the author of The Things Father Did Not Teach Us. So my background is I have extensive years of experience working in human resources. And during the course of my interaction with different people, especially young ones, I noticed that there was this societal pressure on them in terms of they actually want to belong, having self-doubt, and succumbing to the pressure of the outside world. So, and I noticed that I remember growing up, my father had a very positive impact in my life in terms of guiding me, directing me, allowing me to understand that really, there's really nothing out there. You just have to be yourself, do what you have to do. So I found out that poetry was an excellent way for me to express my emotions and feeling. And young people, especially those going through adolescence, often have intense emotions and may struggle to articulate them. So I ensure that I use poems that can actually provide an outlet for them to express their thoughts, feeling in creative ways and meaningful ways. So The Things Father Did Not Teach Us is a collection of poems that explores different things that the youths face. The poem explores the theme of self-confidence, self-love, and self-acceptance, which after carrying out my research and speaking to different kinds of people, I noticed that quite a number of us have one or two of these, either self-confidence, self-love, or self-acceptance. So this reason, I was able to actually sit down and actually come up with this collection of poems. whereby with the intrusion of social media in our personal and our inner worlds, the kind of battle we fight, and the sort of peer pressure that we find around us online, amongst our family, our friends. You have to be a certain way, you have to be a doctor when you don't want to be, when you have to be what they want you to be and not what you want for yourself. So the aim of this collection of poems is to tell younger people out there that they don't have to succumb to the pressure of the outside world, to remind teenagers dealing with one or more societal and mental pressure that they are not alone. I understand where they are coming from. I have been there. And the beauty of this collection of poems is that it has been able to, I've been able to use a very simple language to achieve the goal of the book. I use the elegant words and instructive words, and also explore that there are different challenges one face. So writing this collection of poems for young people was a way for me to actually give back to the community and also to inspire the next generation of writers and also young people out there. By me sharing my own experiences and perspective, I have been able, and I am still encouraging young people to find their own voice and also pursue their passion. So I would just like to share one or two of my poems. So this one is so dear to me because the title is You versus the World. And it says, like that, mistakes are inevitable. And when you fall, you don't build a tent in the mud. You stand, you walk, and you run. You are gold. Carry yourself like royalty. Value yourself than anyone else. Process your fears and have self-belief. Instead of trembling hearts, fight your fears face to face, because everything good is on the other side, and it takes courage to get there. Brace up, my friend. You are the walls of your art. You are your truth, and the rest of the world is a lie. So this poem was actually written to actually encourage people out there to say that you can always be distinct. You don't have to follow the crowd. You can always do whatever you feel like doing. And like Lisa mentioned, what her grandma said, looking at it, she had like a very good figure to actually guide her, tell her different stories that have actually impacted life. Just imagine Lisa didn't want to stand out from the crowd. Maybe she wanted to do something totally, different from what, but she wanted to follow what everybody was doing. But she has already carved a niche for herself, and she's doing excellently well. Somebody's selling more t-shirts than books. That's a fantastic thing. There's another poem I would like to share. What's it? Just a minute. Okay, so the other book I'd like to share is The Things Father Did Not Teach Us, because I remember that there are a lot of things they don't teach us from home that we get to learn from outside. And while learning it, we just find our way around it. Okay, so the things Father did not teach us. We sat in 2s, 3s, and 4s under the tree of life for the things our Father taught us: empathy, bravery, love, and thoughtfulness. In life, to be brave, you carry your shoulders high, lift your chin, empty the rivers in your eye, and like troubled dust, you rise. To be brave, you fold your fears into the Titanic and watch it drown in your tears. In life, to love, you forget yourself, selfishness, and everything that makes another feel less. In life, to be thoughtful, you become a library. You are patient. You embrace solitude. You watch your thoughts become pictures and wisdom will ooze out of your words. So this particular poem is so powerful, and I've really gotten so much feedback on how it has actually impacted people's lives. And people telling me that, oh, Abby, how did you go about it? What made you write it? And I said, I've been in your shoes, and I actually understand what it takes to be there. So finally, I'd just like to say that my book can be found on Amazon, and I also have hard copies for those who would like to have hard copies. I think it's also on Okada Books as well, and it's very affordable, and it's very easy to move around with. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for creating this platform for the Black people, whereby we can actually express ourselves and also impact life in one way or the other. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you just mention, for those that are listening on radio, can you just spell your name, or just say your name, and spell it, so that they when they go online, they can find your book? And also, can you remind them again the title of your book?
All right. So the title of my book is The Things Father Did Not Teach Us, and my name is spelled Abimbola, Abimbola, then Alaka, Alaka. So it's very easy. Once you type in The Things Father Did Not Teach Us, it's going to pop out.
Okay, thank you. Also, please share the details in the Zoom link in case anyone wants to go on the link to purchase a copy of your book. Right, I'm now going to go on to our next speaker. Our next speaker, as well as being an author, he's a publisher and a sponsor of the Black Book Show. We're talking about Wayne Hinds. Wayne Hinds, his publishing company, Truth Communications, and he's also the author of the book called Reclaim Your Digital Gold. So Wayne, I'd like to invite you onto the Black Book Show. As I mentioned before, Wayne Hinds is one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. So Wayne, if you'd like to come on and please start by telling us where you're based, and a brief introduction about yourself before go and tell us all about your publishing services and your book.
Okay, thank you, Makonnen. Let me just turn my camera on here. Okay. Well, once again, it's such a pleasure to be here. Makonnen, we've been journeying together over the last little while with your book show, and you and Auntie Jane are doing for our community is really tremendous. And so I appreciate it. Not only sharing about my book, and also about my publishing company. And I'm so encouraged to hear all the various authors, and some of the stories are incredible. Lisa Bennett, I just had to give a shout out to her story about her grandmother. We all can relate, and thank you for sharing that, and all the other authors too. Thank you. Let me just share my screen quickly, and as Makonnen mentioned, I'm an author and a publisher of. Let me bring up my screen. I always seem to have want to make sure I have the right slide, and then I'll begin my just short presentation. I'm going to focus today on, for some reason or another, it's not coming up. That's okay. I'm going to focus today on the publishing side of my business. I am, as mentioned, author of a book. It's called Reclaim Your Digital Gold. And that book is really about our data and how our personal data is being used to transform the world, both in business and our society. We all have mobile devices. We all, nowadays we're, digital world. And so, we're digitally connected. And each time we leave a digital footprint, every time we go online, we talk about this in the book at great length, and how that information is transforming the world, but also more importantly, how you can take your power back. So that's what the book is about. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I'll put that information in the chat, and then we'll you can always reach out to me. And I have a special offer at the end of this presentation. So anyway, so let me just share with you about the publishing company. My publishing company is called Truth Communications, and it is a publishing company that is focused on providing you first-rate quality publishing services, whether it be a book, a magazine, or any other creative creative activities that you'd like to publish. And we believe in bringing your dreams to life. So you have a vision, a dream. We're here to serve and help you bring that to life. The Truth Communications actually is an acronym. Truth stands for, this is a divine download I got a number of years ago, and I'm just incredibly blessed by that, because it's proving to be so valuable in today's environment that we're in, where there's lots of fake news and fake this and fake that, and truth actually stands for trusting righteousness under the heavens. I'm a bright guy, but to put those together, I really can't take credit for it. That was really a divine download. And so let me just quickly just share this video, which gives you a little bit about. Let me start at the beginning. Okay.
Are you looking for an authentic and dependable publishing partner? Honesty, integrity, quality, and excellence are a few words that can be used to describe Truth Communications. We take pride in providing a first-rate experience and service. Publish with truth, where dreams come to life.
And so the focus of what we're doing is really helping you throughout the entire process. And it's print on demand. We don't do mass printing of books. We actually focus more on the creation and providing you digital assets, which be placed on Amazon, which is a print on demand platform, Ingram Spark, another print on demand, and ultimately any of the global platforms, including we have our own digital platforms too. And we've published actually, to be exact, 6 books in the last couple of years, including my own book. And let me move this out of the way here and just show you. So this is our process, where we take you through a journey. No matter where you are, you may have completed your manuscript and you need someone to work with. And all of you that are on the call right now, obviously, are authors, or most of you are anyway, are authors, and have already gone through this type of process, and so you're aware of this. And those of you who are not, we walk you through the process with your manuscript, taking it to obtaining the ISBN or registering it officially, so it is registered, and also to create your cover design and license any images are all licenses. So we do things first rate and have quality, and you prove each of the stages as we move through into book proofing and editing. And in fact, unlike most companies, we provide you a book proof for you, a physical book that you mark up and write on, and then before you deliver that out to your readers. And of course, design the layout, help you with the pricing, publishing, and promote that. And I also run another company, which is a digital consulting services to help small and medium-sized businesses get online and websites, etc. And so we actually not only help you create the book, we can help you too with the marketing and the web presence and all aspects of the journey when it comes to getting your creative design out in print, in digital, and in print. And of course, celebrate, which is one of the things we're doing right now on this call. And I so appreciate, as I said, a platform like this, because it really tells the world, and we share amongst ourselves too the great things that we've accomplished. So that's our process. And then just quickly, I'll just show you what's on our bookshelf. And we use, because I'm a technology expert and specialist, we use technology throughout the entire process. So no matter where you are in the world, we work very closely with you using platforms like Zoom and other platforms, really to just show you each and every step of your product as it's being developed. And so here's my platform for truth communications, where you can post, where as a part of the solution, in not only you can post your book on Amazon, but you can post your book here too on our platform, which people can buy the digital flip version. And I'll show you shortly what that looks like. But here's some of the authors that we've published. We published a children's book. This is a terrific book about the Easter story and the little donkey that Jesus rode, and just from the donkey's perspective. And in this book, we actually designed the entire elements, including the artwork, and all of it is proprietary and licensed and so on, and the cover, etc. And then this is another story about a legacy book, Pathway to Prosperity, a biblical perspective on prosperity, and autobiography. So these are some of the books that we have published. But what's beautiful about this is that as you get on our platform, as we provide a final product and you get on our platform, you will be able to essentially, let me just flip to it here. And this is what our digital platform experience looks like. And we also create an audio version too. We'll help you create an audio version. Actually, you know what? Let me turn my audio version on this so you can hear. Okay, just so you can hear that. Let me just flip through. I think I muted that. So let me just unmute. Okay. So this is just my book that I'm showcasing here. As I'm flipping through the pages, but we use a tool like this.
In loving memory. To Steve,
we use a tool
my
like
brother.
this.
Introduction. Data has quickly become one of the world's most valuable commodities, and we are willing to trade our personal information for convenience, entertainment, and instant gratification. As a result of the widespread acceptance of the Internet, booming mobile device usage, and vast amounts of data, new business models have emerged to meet our every need and convenience online. Data has become the fuel to power many businesses' goals and engines. They collect, measure, and analyze it to market to people like you and me, based on our searches, behavioral habits, and purchasing patterns. Some of these companies provide enticing behavioral and habit-changing services that will result in irreversible social change. This book gives insight into the importance of personal data and how it is being used to shape the future of business and society. We will explore what the future of business and society might look like, as well as practical steps you can take to reclaim and reposition your data power.
Okay, so what I've shown you here is a couple of things. One is my book, and you just heard it, the audio version of this book, and you're also seeing the digital flip version with really an interactive, which work on any device, your mobile, your tablet, and online. And this is I said, is something that we use to help you with the design of your book, and ultimately as a final product, which you will get as a deliverable. So in closing here, I'm just flipping through my book. I'm going to tell you how you can reach out to me. And for my book, actually, I have a special today. I'll be giving an ebook away for free to everyone who goes to Amazon, and it's on the Amazon Kindle platform. You can access it, and you can get an ebook for free in the next couple of days, starting tomorrow. So I'll send that link in the chat, and you can feel free to reach out to me. Also, too, I offer a 15-minute to 20-minute consultation for free about where you are in your publishing journey and your dreams you'd like to bring to life, and we will help you and tell you how we can be of service in that. So, let me just close up here. To obtain my book, you can go to reclaimyourdigitalgold.com. Again, reclaimyourdigitalgold.com. My publishing company is called Truth Communications. That's Truth Communications with an S.org. Just remember that if you need to preview the website and peruse it and see the various services that we offer. And that's it. Let me just put this in the information in the chat. As I said, on the website, you can go and you can see some of the books that we have already published, and you can contact us at any time for any kind of consultation or service offerings. And again, I'm just perusing through the my personal book website, the Reclaim Your digitalgold.com. All right. Thank you, Makonnen. Again, once again, I thoroughly appreciate and enjoy the time that we have been journeying together here. So let me just stop sharing this. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, Wayne Hinds. It's always great to have you on the Black Book Show virtual book tour. I'm just going to actually share my screen now, so you should be able to see this. And what I'm just going to share now, as I mentioned earlier, I have the Black Books, the radio show and podcast. Now, Wayne Hinds, actually recently interviewed him about his publishing company, Truth Communications. As he's mentioned in the speaking, he's talked about his publishing company. But he's been on the show as well previously. Before that, I interviewed him about his book, Reclaim Your Digital Gold. So if you would like to check out that interview, he did speak briefly about his publishing company, but we focused more on Reclaiming Your Digital Gold in the previous interview. We have an interview to come out, which he will be covering a lot more in depth about his publishing company. But if you would like to check out the podcast that's already there, go on the Black Book Show's website, www.blackbookshows.com, and then select radio shows and podcast. I believe it is episode 16. If you go on to episode 16, you will then be taken to Spotify, and there you have it. You can listen to the Wayne Hinds when he talks about Reclaim Your Digital Gold, his book, and he also talks a little bit about his publishing company as well as the other authors on that podcast. You have Yanaya Pollard and Ethel Smiter, as well as Robert Fye, and they all previously featured on the virtual book tour as well. If you're author listening and you would like to feature on either the Black Book Show virtual book tour or the radio show and podcast, or either both, you can go on the Black Book Show's website, www.blackbookshows.com, select Contact Us, and then fill in your name, email address, message, and then submit form. And then I will then contact you, follow up, and then we can discuss more about your book and the possibility of you coming onto the Black Book Show. Also, feel free to reach out to me by email. That is info@blackbookshows.com. Again, that is info@blackbookshows.com. Or you can also contact me via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is +44 7943 178 117. That is +44 7943 178 117. As I mentioned earlier, I'm currently in Ghana, so if you're calling from UK, USA, or other parts of the world, please contact me via message or call WhatsApp. Obviously, don't call me right now because I'm hosting the show, but you can leave a message or call me after the show. We are also looking for sponsors for the Black Book Show. As I mentioned, Wayne Hinds, is one of the many sponsors of the Black Book Show. If you would like to sponsor to promote your book and become a regular participant on the Black Book Show to promote your book, or your publishing service, or indeed if you're a Black business owner and you've got a business that you would like to promote, you can also sponsor the Black Book Show to promote your business services. And we can discuss the different packages that we have got available for sponsors. Right, we're now going to go on to our next speaker of the Black Book Show. Our next speaker is Khalilah Morris, and she is the author of the book called Push Through. So Khalilah Morris, if you would like to come on, please start by telling us where you're based, a brief introduction about yourself, and then tell us all about the book that you've written.
Hi, sorry about that. Okay, I'm your author, Khalilah Morris. I'm self-published. I wrote, my first book was A Fiend's Family, if you can see this. My next book is Behind the Smoke, A Fiend's Family Journal. And my last and latest book is called Push Through. So those are the books that I've self-published myself. I'm from Southside, Jamaica, Queens. That's in New York, the United States. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, where the crack era was spreading and growing rapidly. Unfortunately, my family was attacked from the spread of crack cocaine, and they suffered under substance abuse. I saw and experienced some unimaginable things, you know? So just to fast forward, I decided to write A Fiend's Family while I was home on maternity leave with my daughter, I would say 16 years ago. So in 2021, I was home and I decided to publish the book. So that's what I did. And from there, I just kept on writing. You know, I came up with the journal, which was behind the smoke. I figured to write the journal because you get so much action from A Fiend's Family. There's so many families that are going through the same things that I once went through. So I said, you know, not all the time that you want to talk to someone about the things that's going on in your life, you want to write about it to help you heal. So that's why I created the journal. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit that my family was attacked through substance abuse. There's so many families that went through it. So I said, you know, let me share my stories to help someone else. You know, I made a promise to myself that I would decide to blow smoke a different way. So instead of doing drugs, I wrote about it. You know, that's where I came up with the slogan, "Who want the smoke?" So that's what I put on my shirts, "Who want the smoke?" so that they can express themselves the way I have. I also wrote this book, you know, to share my story, to heal the people, to help heal, you know, people that's going through all the traumas and growing up and in the life of addiction in our communities. I wanted to tell a story of people with substance abuse because they have a history also. You know, not many understand why or how they got involved in drugs, but, you know, to understand just where they're coming from, you know, so the readers will understand why they do what they do. And, you know, they have hardships, you know, drug addicts, they have hardships, they hurt people. They don't even understand why they're doing what they're doing. They just do it just to have that self-comfort. And I just wanted people to understand why they do what they do. That's why I wrote my books. So, you know, so many people, they just tear up their family dynamic, and they don't even understand the process of what we go through as watching them destroy themselves at hand, you know? So like, that's why I wrote my books, and to hope that everyone else can understand the stories of the drug addiction and also the families that's suffering from it. You know, right now I'm also working on a children's book. It's called Why I Say No to Drugs. And I'm also helping people coach them to write their books. So you can find my books on Amazon. I'm on Kubu Books, Barnes and Nobles, all the major platforms I'm available. I'm also have my own website, which is afiendsfamily.godaddysites.com. And I wanted to share an excerpt of my book with you from Push Through. It's called, the first part is called Self-Note. I have a question. How do you deal with betrayal and trust? How do you tell your family you're separating from your mate? And how do you deal with kids and separating them from their lifestyle? Last but not least, how do you deal with your own emotions? Yes, that's a lot, and some big life decisions. So many men and women are asking these very same questions. Some may ask their peers who have been in the same predicament. However, not many find the answers. So who do you get your answers from? Your pastor, if you have one, your siblings, your best friends, or even your parents? I know it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to confide in someone on such heavy topic or topics without feeling ashamed afterwards. Do you believe the person that you're sharing with that's going to keep your most inner thoughts a secret also? Will they have the advice you want and need? Are you going to listen or allow the advice to go over your head? To be honest, this is what I have been dealing with. Not a way of getting out of my marriage, but dealing with life after the fact. Being and becoming either the old you again or the new and more mature you. Meaning, before you were in this relationship or marriage, I should say, life was free and going any way I wanted it to. Full of possibilities. Not to say marriage life wasn't nice, well, in the beginning at least. Not able to compare, not just the dating part, but the not having to answer to anyone or feeling like you live with your parents again. That was the old me, I guess. Then with marriage, I never realized how much you can cover up your partners and what they do and how many excuses you can make for the person you love, even when they're wrong. Love truly has a way of blinding you. But when you uncover the smoke and the truth, and the truth starts to unfold, things get real. Like I mentioned before marriage is nice, marriage is sweet. Now let's see what happens in between. And that was an excerpt from my latest book, Push Through. You can also, like I said before, get my book on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. There's also a nice little pen if you would like to have it so that you can journal and get all your smoke off your chest. Again, I'm Kalila Morris, and I'm going to also put all my information in the chat, and I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Khalilah Morris. Right. We're now going to go on to our next author. Our next author, Deanne Heron, and she's author of the book called, she's written 7 books in total. One of the books is called Partner Money Stories. So Deanne Heron, if you just start by telling us, where you're based, a brief introduction about yourself, and then, go on to, tell us all about the book you've written.
Okay, right, good. Well, not good evening, greetings, everyone, because I know we're all over the world and there are different times everywhere. So it's just a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to come and talk about my books. And it's just been amazing listening to the other speakers. And my name is Deanne Heron, and I hope you can hear and see me okay. My name is Deanne Heron, and I was born in Kingston, which is the capital of Jamaica. And I moved to Manchester, Northern England in 1967, where I still live. But I was left in Portland on the northeast coast of Jamaica, where my family come from, with my grandma when I was 3. Unfortunately, my grandma died when I was 6, and I lived with a cousin, aunt, long complicated stories before my mom sent for me, because that's the phrase that we use. You were sent for, because my mom was sent for when I was 3, and she left me with my grandma, and she was sent for by my aunt and her husband here in Britain. And she was given the opportunity to come and start a new life. And, once she was able to get a job and sort herself out, she was finally able to send for me when I was 9 years old. So that's the age I was when I came to England, and I've lived here because I love Manchester. That's where I've lived. Now, a little bit about me. I'm a qualified person-centered counsellor and cognitive behavioural therapist, and I've also been a foster carer for the last 22 years, and I've looked after about over 40 children of various ages, from overnight in emergencies to, the young lady who lives with me now, it's an adult care. I'm an adult carer now. And I look after her. She's a mild learning disability, so they've placed her with me as an adult placement. So she's going to be here for as long as she wants to be. But I do many things. I could talk all day. But my first love is writing and Black history. And, I started writing, I think in my teenage years, I started writing poetry. And my interest in books started because I was the only Black child in my primary school. I did my last year at primary school here in Britain, and I suffered horrendous racism. And my class teacher took me under his wing and started looking after me. And he used to read poetry to us at the end of the day. And he used to give me his poetry books. He used to say to me, Diana, no matter how many times I said to them, my name is Deanne, the teachers called me Diana. And he said, Diana, you really liked those poems that I just read, didn't you? And I said, yes, sir, I did. So he said to me one day, right, take this book home, Diana, and read it. And when you finish with it, bring it back. And that started my love of poetry. So again, I said I've done a lot of things. I read my poetry and short stories now at local events and on the radio. And I used to present in African and Caribbean news and Black History Month program. Before COVID, I used to do many things, but a lot of those had to come to an end. I've organized local health and well-being events, and I facilitate workshops for aspiring writers, because for me, I just think we're on this earth, not just for ourselves. I believe in the village mentality. I am because we are because I am. So whatever I learn, I try to pass that on and try to help others, my family, my friends, anybody else who is willing to listen. So I also go into old people's homes, and I do storytelling and story writing workshops and encourage them to share their stories with their children and their grandchildren, because a lot of the children or young people who are born here, they don't know anything about their history, because unfortunately our elders keep their stories to their chest. They don't share anything, including my mother. I know very little about my family. And this was why I decided that I had to share my stories, because when I talk to my friends, and I tell them, most of my friends were born here in Britain. And when I say to them, oh, I was born in Jamaica, they say, whoa, really? And I start to share my memories of climbing trees, falling down while I learned to walk over rocks and thorns. And just, my lovely memories living with my aunt and the things that we used to do. They can't believe that I used to do all of those things. And then I came here to this scary country where I saw smoke coming out the chimneys, and like everybody else, I thought the houses were on fire. And just learning, this new culture, discovering racism and learning how to cope with it. But I have achieved everything I have because I remember my aunt and uncle driving me to the airport when I was coming here. And I've described the journey as traveling from the earth to the moon, but I was still breathing. And I remember crying in the car, because I was so frightened. Imagine a 9-year-old being put on a plane. I was in an escorted group of children and leaving everything she knows behind and being taken to a strange country with a mother. I didn't even know what my mother looked like because I hadn't even seen a photograph of her. I remember she left me when I was 3. So I remember my aunt putting her arm around me and she was saying, it's okay, stop crying. Remember what Mama said. You have to be the best that you can be. Do you hear me? You have been given an opportunity that nobody else will be given. And that is what's kept me going over the years. I have to be the best I can be to make Granny proud of me. So going to my books, I've had 7 books published to date, and they've been published by different authors. And my first books were, this is my first one, Pardon Money Stories. And if you can see it, that picture on the front of the book is actually where I used to play as a little girl. My grandma used to go and visit her friend, and she would take me and I would go and, chase the horses and the donkeys and, play there. So when I went on holiday, I took a photograph of it and I decided to use it as the cover of volume 1 of my Pardon Money Stories. And then this is volume 2, right? Because I wrote volume 1, and everybody who read it said, "Oh my goodness, Deanne, those stories are amazing. You've got to write some more," because they're written in English, but with Jamaican patois dialogue. But I've toned the patois down, so even if you don't understand Jamaican patois, you can still understand it. And the reason I wrote these stories, when I came here in the 60s, the partner was a savings club that they had, and it has different names in the different islands and different African countries. In some, it's susu, it's box hand, but basically it's a group of people that come together and they decide to put a certain amount of money into the pot, and then they would take it in turn to get that money, whether it was weekly or monthly. And a lot of the elders now say to me, if I wasn't in the partner, I couldn't have got the deposit to buy my house. I was able to send money back home to buy land, to build my house. So the partner was a pivotal part of the Caribbean community when I came here from Jamaica. And I think we now call it in Britain, in the UK, we call it a credit union. I'm not quite sure what it's called in other places. But again, a lot of the elders say to me, because of the racism, they weren't even able to open bank accounts when they came here. Remember, people, they were brought here from the Caribbean countries to rebuild Britain. Yet, most of the local people thought we came here to claim benefits and to take what they had, because we're not taught this in history. And this is why I used to go into schools and teach, because I think, no, the children need to know about the First World War, the Second World War, people from the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, who fought in those wars and helped Britain to win those wars. And then they came here after, and in 1948, we have the Windrush, the SS Empire Windrush that came here. That was the main ship that everybody remembers, but there were lots of other ships and people came on planes afterwards, but they came here to help to rebuild this country. And it's so lovely listening to the stories that the elders tell. Some of them, most of them, the women anyway, they were nurses, and they tell me horrific stories of what they suffered, from the patients who would spit at them, and tell them, don't touch me. I don't want that dirt to rub off on me, because they thought, well, they were just being racist. They thought the black color would rub off on them. And then, some of the men, they said, even though they were professionals, teachers at home, they could only get jobs as, driving buses or driving trains or, bus conductors. But they just said, well, we were struggling at home. We couldn't find jobs. So we came here and we were earning a lot more than we would have got at home. So we just stayed. But most of them said they only came here. Their intention was to stay here for 2 years maximum. And, 30, 40 years later, they're still here. So these stories basically summarize my memories of us getting together, supporting each other. One person would bring the chicken, one would bring the rice and peas, then we'd play, the old school reggae music, and we just laugh and support each other, basically. So those are my partner money stories, my first 2 volumes of short humorous stories. Then I had my first 2 volumes of poetry published, and they're called Contemplation. And I think contemplation speaks for itself, because it's really me thinking. Yes, that's volume 1, Contemplation. That's volume 2. And it's basically just me thinking and making sense of what is going on around us, because we're living in interesting times when everybody seems to be suffering from something. And because I'm a therapist, I know that there's a high degree of people, a much higher degree of people suffering from mental health problems. And they're not being given the treatment really that they should be given. So I'm trying, I call my last 2. These are my last 2 that I've had written. Contemplation, the COVID era. And I became ill, after looking after my mom for years, who had dementia. And unfortunately, the stress of looking after her caused me to develop fibromyalgia. And I've been ill for the last few years, and initially I was feeling sorry for myself, but now I realized that it wasn't a negative, because it's given me time after working hard since I was 16. It's just given me time now just to sit down and rest and enjoy life. So But these last two were called the COVID era. And I call it my therapeutic poetic processing. And really, it's my way of making sense of what is going on around me. And when I make sense of that, I can help those around me. I don't officially do counseling anymore, but I get friends and family who ring me almost every day. And they ring me initially to find out how I am. But an hour later, they're still on the phone because I'll pick up something in the voice. And I think, oh, Sandra, are you all right? How are you? No, I'm fine. You know, the way we do, the smile on our faces, whereas inside we're crying. No, I'm fine. I said, no, you don't sound fine. Come on, talk to me. What's going on? How are you? And then they start to speak. And I said, okay. And then, of course, as usual, Deanne, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Deanne. I don't mean to burden you. Said, it's okay. It's okay. Just talk to me. And that's what I try to do now, to help others. But apart from that, I don't know if you all remember, because as I said, I'm in the UK, when those films, the Harry Potter films came out, and they were talking about dwarves and elves and all those kind of things. And I started thinking, well, where did we get the ideas of dwarves and elves from? God only created one race. And then I started having these weird dreams, and that's something that happens to me all the time. I was thinking something, and then I go to bed and I have a dream about it. So I started having these dreams where I was taken back in time, and I was shown that God didn't create one race. It wasn't just humans. He created 3 races. The elves, who were closest to the angels, the humans in the middle, and the dwarves, who were closest to the earth, and they were all very closely linked. And I think something's saying now that we only have access to 20% of our brain. So I'm thinking, well, what's happened to the other 80%? And again, I dreamt. We were telepaths initially. We didn't have a spoken language. And we could transport ourselves to anywhere we wanted to. But because we started being jealous of each other and fighting against each other, we started what we call the race wars. And basically started sending a lot of negativity out into the universe. So God had to cleanse the planet with the flood.
Deanne, you've got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes, right. So this is my final huge science fiction novel, which you can knock somebody out with, The Mandari Chronicles. So if you go to my website, I have a website, www. and I'll put it in the chat, partnermoneystories.co.uk, but you can get my books on Amazon. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I just absolutely love writing now, and I do my poetic processing every day. So thank you. Sorry, I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time. Thank you very much for giving me this time.
Can you just say again, just not spell your name? It's Deanne Heron, just for, for people that are listening by Black Culture Radio. Obviously, you've got the 7 books. The book you was concentrated on talking about was the book about the partner system. So just mention the title of the book and spell your name for where people can purchase it.
Partner Money Stories, PARDNER, Money Stories. And if you just Google my name, because there's lots of information on Google about me, and that's Deanne, DEANNE, Heron, HERON, and you'll see my website, you'll see my books, all sorts of things. I'm on Facebook as well. Just Google Deanne Heron or Google Partner Money Stories, because I have a Partner Money Stories page as well. But these are my main books, my Partner Money Stories, which I absolutely love. And they just talk about my culture. I share them with my children, my grandchildren who love them, me passing on my story. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Deanne. I'm now going to go on to, sorry, before that, I was just going to say, yeah, please make sure you put the links to your book also in the Zoom chat. Now, I'm now going to go on to the next author. The next author is Lorraine Zajac, and she's the author of the book called Logan's 3D Printed Surprise. So, Lorraine, if you would like to come on, welcome you onto the Black Book Show. Please, start by telling us where you're based, and then give a brief introduction about yourself, and then start to tell us all about the book you've written.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Lorraine Zajac, and I am the author of a newly published children's book called Logan's 3D Printed Surprise. I'm joining you here today from the great state of Texas in the USA, where I have lived for the past 30 years. Originally, I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. So hello to all my Jamaican writers out there. Before I begin, I'd like to just thank our host, Makonnen, for having me here and for all the great authors that I've been listening to. These stories are very inspiring and just really goes to show you how powerful books can be as a healing tool and then also for learning. So thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and to share my story. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as I begin my presentation. Okay, let's see. All right, so again, my name is Lorraine Zajac, and I am a first-time author. This is my first book. I'm really excited to be able to bring this story and message to the world. Like I said previously, I am Jamaican born, and my story, my book, people ask me all the time where I got the idea for my book, and basically it came out of my teaching. Originally, I'm a homeschool educator. We've been homeschooling for about 15 years, so very much before COVID, before homeschooling was popular. I homeschooled my children. They have never been to public school before, so that's one of the things that we chose for our family. And so I realized that I had a passion for teaching once I started teaching my own children. And so the story came out of my passion for teaching. Originally, I started teaching Lego robotics and Lego engineering to children in the neighborhood and children, other homeschoolers. And from there, my family, my kids wanted to learn about 3D printing and about computer-aided design. And so within the homeschool community, if you want to learn something, you go out and you find the resources for it. And that's exactly what we did. We went out and we learned it together as a family. We learned how to design. We learned about the printer. We got one. We tinkered with it. And we basically taught ourselves this technology. So I fell in love with 3D printing. I saw the potential of the technology, and it has been my goal for the past 3-4 years to really just pass that information on to children. And then I decided to write a book to incorporate stories and the technology together. Okay, so what is the story about? It's about a young boy who is looking to find his unique skill to create a surprise for a very, very special loved one. And so, he goes through a series of emotions, trying to find out what he's good at, what his talent is, what his skills are. And he finally came upon the idea that he could 3D print something for a very special loved one. Okay, so I'm just going to read the synopsis, which is on the back of our book, just so that you can kind of get an idea of how the story flows. So it says, think outside the box and join Logan, an imaginative, creative, homeschooled 8-year-old boy, in finding his unique skill in this fun and inspiring new book, Logan's 3D Printed Surprise. Logan loves his grandmother, Mimi, very much, but cannot think of a special gift for her 70th birthday. He's not good with tools, neither can he sew nor paint. As the important day draws near and everybody in the family gets ready to celebrate, will Logan be able to find his unique talent and skill to create a meaningful gift for his Mimi? So basically, the book introduces young readers to computer-aided design, or CAD, and 3D printing, and encourages them to use this technology to solve everyday problems in their child-sized world. This book, it plants the seed of this emerging 21st century technology and is for anyone who enjoys learning new skills. So the book doesn't teach you how to CAD or how to use the printer, but it does make readers curious as to what is this technology? You know, what kind of items can you make with it? And that's the idea behind the book, just to spark the curiosity of children to explore this new technology. Okay, so I have a short video that I'm going to play, and it just kind of summarizes everything about the book.
Across the globe, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics contribute to innovation, job opportunities, and solutions that address important issues. It is predicted that STEM-related occupations will grow more than twice as fast as the total for all occupations by the year 2029. Providing students with STEM education that is accessible and equitable for all youth is essential to preparing them to meet the workforce demand and to become the problem solvers of tomorrow. What better way to make STEM accessible than through books, stories, and educational programs? Welcome. My name is Lorraine Zajac, a homeschooling parent, a STEM educator, and the proud author of Logan's 3D Printed Surprise, illustrated by Maria Gabriela Gama. This book was inspired by my own children's journey into learning computer-aided design and 3D printing, as well as the many students I have taught over the years. The story is about a young boy who uncovers his creative talent and skill to create a unique, sentimental gift for a very special person in his life by using his 3D printer. This picture book is perfect for early readers ages 6 to 12. As a parent and educator, my goal is to create a series of books showing children embracing 3D printing to solve problems in their homes, schools, and communities. The stories will cultivate curiosity in the readers about 3D printing and how it could be used as a fun hobby for entrepreneurship and, importantly, to create positive futures. Readers will walk away with valuable information such as what CAD and 3D designs are and how 3D printers work. This book is a way for teachers, parents, and caregivers to introduce STEM concepts to early readers through storytelling, teach them resiliency, and help turn a reading session into a fun, learning adventure. My goal as an author and educator is to provide learning experiences that are available to students of all ages and to help them learn about the world, develop critical thinking skills, as well as develop job skills. Thanks in advance for your support in helping to bring this important message to the world by supporting this project.
Okay, so yeah, that just kind of gives you an outline as far as, you know, what the goals are with the book. Again, you know, just to introduce young kids to implore and use their creativity, their imagination to become problem solvers, to, you know, really look at themselves as key players in creating solutions in their own world. The book also, you know, incorporates family values. The book goes through, you know, families supporting each other. It also has the theme of finding your own gifts and your special talents and using your talents to make a difference. So what I wanted to do with the book definitely is to encourage students to explore STEM, which basically stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And those are difficult subjects, and you know, students usually shy away from them. And so if I'm able to incorporate these subject matters in fun stories where children can see themselves, creating solutions and being very successful and, making a difference in the world and in other people's lives and in their own lives, then that would definitely help them to pursue careers in these high demand fields. Okay, so what I've incorporated is STEM plus literature, because I feel like reading is a very, very important aspect of learning, reading comprehension. If you're going after high level positions, whether it be in science or engineering, having those basic reading skills and comprehension skills are very, very important. So being able to, put a story together, which has, fun activities and so forth, can help them with their reading success. Another key takeaway is, I wanted children to see that they are going to be the future. They are going to be the ones coming up with new innovations, whether it's be for entrepreneurship or a hobby, and just teaching them that, having that resiliency, having that ability to not give up, the ability to work through challenges, work through problems. And then, just also thinking outside the box, things don't always have to be done the way they were done in the past. What are some new ways that we can solve issues in the world or in your life? So definitely I'm hoping that, this book just really plants the seed for, students to be encouraged to look into these high-tech careers and high-tech subject matter. So another key important part that I wanted to include in the book, of course, is diverse characters, characters that that look like my own children, characters that look like me. I want, Black and brown students to be able to see themselves in books, being successful, going after those high character subjects such as science, technology, engineering, and math, and just seeing their reflection. We know that representation matters, and having stories that reflect Black and brown characters being successful is a very, very key, important ingredient in this book. I wanted to make sure that was, make sure that they would be able to see themselves being and making a difference in the world. So again, my name is Lorraine Zajac, and I provide workshops, author visits, whether they're virtual or in person. I'm looking for any kind of collaboration with other STEM enthusiasts or STEM authors out there. I do community events locally where I live, or even virtually. So I can be found, of course, on Facebook. My handle is 3D STEM Savvy Kids on Facebook. I can also be found on Instagram, which is author_LORRZAJAC. So Lor Zajac. And if you're interested in finding out more about, the classes that I offer or workshops or anything like that, please look me up on social media. Again, I'm available on Facebook, Instagram. We just started a YouTube channel called 3D STEM Savvy Kids, where, we'll be going through some tutorials. We'll be highlighting our community events and workshops. And we also is available through, of course, email. So if anybody has any questions, definitely, reach out to me. I appreciate this platform. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that, just hearing about a book that, teaches and tells stories about 3D printing will spark your curiosity, and then hopefully the curiosity of your students. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So that was Lorraine Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Please, if you could put all the links as well where your book can be purchased, and any, or like your YouTube channel or any of your social media handles, you can put them in the Zoom link. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to share my screen. Tamara Foley is one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. She's not able to make it in person, but so she sent a video. So I'm now going to play the video. Tamara Foley, her company, Education for All Now, as well as Garwell Publishing, one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. So I'm going to play the video so everyone can listen to it.
Hi, I'm Tamara Foley, author of Cassie's Big Change series. And today I'm going to share with you Cassie's Big Change, going from the living room to the classroom. I just want to read a couple of pages of the story and share with you why I write SEL. I'm so excited to go back to school after everyone has received the vaccine. We went back to school in the fall for a short time, but since children were getting sick, the school closed again. Now the virus is over. My classmates and I are all back in school. I used to have school in my living room, but now I'm back in my classroom. School has changed from virtual class to seeing each other in person again. I see my friends every day. It makes me so happy to see them. I also wave to Miss Garrett, my previous teacher, every morning in the hall before going to class. My new teacher is Miss Foley. Miss Foley is very kind, but also highly organized. She encourages the children to write in their journals every day about their feelings. She says, I want to make sure that you are ready to learn. You have to think and focus on school. Write down every feeling you experience before school that is not good and whoosh it away. Miss Foley has a time each day to speak to her about a problem. This is a private time, so other people don't know what you are saying. This is one of the ways that she is like Miss Garrett. They both care. I just want to share a moment about why I continue to write SEL. I continue to write SEL because I'd like to continue the conversation with children about their feelings. I want children to be comfortable with expressing their emotions. My goal is that children will stand up for their personal success, academic success, mental health, wellness, civic responsibility, and prospective careers. Social and emotional learning is taught in school and can be supported at home and in the community. Asking children how they feel, listening to them, and helping them process their emotions is crucial to managing their mental health. Cassie's Big Change, going from the living room to the classroom, promotes the following. Cassie's story addresses self-awareness as Cassie and her classmates understand their feelings and the previous year's changes. Cassie's story addresses self-management as the children write daily in their journals and are able to wait until the appropriate time to ask questions. Cassie's story addresses social awareness as the children work together to give positive feedback to their peers during the writing process. Cassie's story addresses relationship skills. Cassie and her classmates maintained their friendships over the years and communicated their family situations. And last but not least, Cassie's story addresses responsible decision-making as she sought input from her parents on naming her bear. Cassie's Big Change, from the living room to the classroom. This is why I teach SEL. This is why I write SEL, and Cassie is SEL. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
That was Dr. Tamara Foley, one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. I'm looking forward to having her on the show next month, as always. She sent a video in this month. Right, what I'm going to do now is I want to talk about an upcoming an event, which is being put on by Marcia M Spence from MM Academy. Marcia M Spence is also another one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. She's unable to be here in person, so I'm just going to promote an event that she's got coming up. Memoir Motivation Masterclass, Author Showcase. The Memoir Motivation Masterclass will be taking place on March the 29th, which is a Wednesday, and it's going to be happening between 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., featuring 5 different authors. I'm just going to go on to explain more details now. It's going to be an event hosted online. Now, with this event, you could go onto Eventbrite. In fact, what I'm going to do now is, while I'm speaking, before I forget, I'm actually going to share the link on the Zoom. I'm going to mention where you can go to as well, but I'm just going to share it so that if people want to, they can actually click on the link as I'm speaking, and they can register to the masterclass. It is a free event. You simply go on Eventbrite. I've put the link in Zoom now. For those who are listening on Black Culture Radio, if you put in the Memoir Motivation Masterclass, something should come up. Make sure that you put online event there, not a physical event, because it is online when you select the location, and then put in the Memoir Motivation Masterclass by Marcia M Spence. Something will come up, and then you'll be able to see the full details. As I mentioned, it's an online event on Wednesday, the 29th of March, this coming Wednesday, and it will be happening between 6:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. That time now is British summertime. That's for time in UK. So, whatever time you're in, I know there's a lot of people, that are on the call in America or Canada or other parts of the world. You would have to obviously, reflect what time zone that would be. But that time of 6:30 to 8 p.m. is UK British summertime. But people are welcome to come on the show, internationally. About the event, so you can learn from 5 authors who have written books. Register for the Memoir Motivation Masterclass hosted by Marcia M Spence on Wednesday, the 29th of March, starting at 6:30 p.m. Do it now. There is a reader waiting for your book. Your story is for that reader and many more. It's time to tell your story. So this is just a brief picture. I'm just going to read part of what it says on the Eventbrite page. The author's midwife provides strategic coaching and vision to enable you to write a book that will reach and grip your chosen audience, resulting in raising your public and professional profile. Exposing your life and experience in an autobiographical book is a challenge and an emotional and mentally taxing journey. Even if you are not writing about your personal life, becoming a published author requires determination, vision, focus, and discipline. Working with the author's midwife, Marcia M Spence, and her team give you support and provide accountability to ensure that you complete your manuscript first draft. Who is the author's midwife? Marcia M Spence is a best-selling author, a coach, speaker, trainer, project manager, and inspirational woman who has nurtured and developed leaders for over 20 years. Marcia successfully coached, mentored, and supported business owners and corporate professionals to tell their stories in written and spoken words for over 10 years. Marcia does not work alone. She has a team of readers, editors, designers at hand to take your manuscripts to the next level, ensuring that it will grab the reader's attention and that is grammatically sound and presented in an attractive and pleasing format. Marcia runs an independent publishing service company called Marcia M Publishing House, which provides comprehensive packages of author services to self-publishing authors, taking your book from concept to delivery, whether that's ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobooks. Specialisms: memoir and autobiography, self-help, semi-autobiographical, books for business, journals, collaborative books, and anthologies. You can also, book strategy coaching sessions with the author's midwife. They are included in all of her coaching packages. Those sessions will enable the book project's strategic direction and maintain their journey to complete their books. Now, there's various different speakers who'll be speaking at this event. One of the speakers, as you can see here, is Hashana Knight, and she's the author of the book, The Silent Thief, that gave me an outlook on life. Another speaker on the author showcase will be Ivan Lewis, the author of Hello to Self, Ivan Met Kulja. There will also be Donald Campbell, a new author. Donald Campbell, author of the book My Path of Life. Another author showcasing on the course will be Deanne Simpson. Deanne Simpson, a Merseyside abuse survivor and advocate against domestic abuse, speaking out against domestic and sexual violence against women. Diane Ward is a fictional character created by author in her book, The Sabotage Girl. We also have Ingrid Williams. Ingrid has been on, I believe, the Black Book Show previously when it was a Black Books webinar there. She's also author. So those are the 5 authors who will be with Marcia M Spence at the Memoir Motivation Masterclass Author Showcase. And that is on Wednesday, the 29th of March, between 6:30 and 8 p.m. It is an online event. I'll presume it's online via Zoom, but it is an online event. You can register via the Eventbrite page. I'll put the link in the Zoom chat. Also, if you're listening on the Black Culture Radio, if you put in the Memoir Motivation Masterclass and put in location online, something will come up. The event is hosted by Marcia M Spence. Right, I'm now going to go on to our next speaker on the Black Book Show, which is Sister Lejet. Sister Lejet from Nubian Nigist Books. She's been sponsoring the Black Book since the very inception, since the first Black Book Show started in May 2020. And just to remind you, if you would like to be a sponsor of the Black Book Show to promote, whether it's your book, your services, you don't have to be an author or publisher, but if you're book related, but if you're a Black business owner and you've got a product or service also you would like to promote, you can contact me at info@blackbookshows.com, or you can also send me a message via WhatsApp or call. The number is +44 7943 178 117. Again, that number is +44 7943 178 117. Alternatively, you can also go on the website www.blackbookshows.com. And if you go on the website www.blackbookshows.com, there is a contact us part, and you can just fill in your interest, whether you want to sponsor or if you want to be an author that wants to feature on the Black Book Show, virtual books or the radio show. Sister Lejet, I'm going to pass it over to you now. Sister Lejet, obviously she's going to talk about, her, she's a bookseller, about the books that she has. Sister Lejet, you've got 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm, as Brother Makonnen said, I'm Sister Lejet from Nubian Nigist Books, and I've been doing books for quite a while. And Makonnen and I, we've known each other for a number of years. And I still would have to say greetings to Auntie Jean as well. And I love the collaboration. Now, tonight, I'm just going to deal with just 2 adult books, but the rest will be children's books. Now, this book, The West and the Rest of Us, I started to read. I've had it for quite a while, and it's called White Predators, Black Slavers, and the African Elite. But this is by Chiwezu, who is a Nigerian author. Absolutely brilliant and relevant for our time. So what I will do is put the books that I am talking about today, I'll put it in the chat. And also we had the International Women's Month, but for us, every day and every month is important. This book here, The New Daughters of Africa, talks about a lot of our esteemed Black women, and Margaret Busby put this together. And when I actually got this book from the publisher, I said, oh, I was wondering if one of the authors who recently died, and she talked about the Caribbean, if she was in there, and she was. So the author name will come back to me in a minute. So one of the books that is really, really interesting that I read was called The Iroquois Man. And this book is a lovely Yoruba folk tale, and it was about the ladies in the village, and none of them was having children. So they talked to the Iruku tree, but this Iruku tree was like a man. So they asked for their wishes, everybody was granted. And one lady said, no, she doesn't want to give her gift. And that made the Iruku man very, very angry. So this is just some of the books that I have. So this one, that one's about Nigeria. This one is Busy and the Golden Disc by Carol Olo Esmond and Ishmael Stories. Island in the Sun, and yes, the song Harry Belafonte and Lord Burgess. So they've actually got, what I like about this book, they've actually got the song. And this is great for children who, all children, for music, because you know our children love a lot of music and they remember everything via the music. So something like this would be good. And actually, because it's got the music notes and everything, so they can always learn via the recorder or piano or guitar. And that's a good way of music with knowledge as well. Also, a lot of the stories that we talk about in our community is that children that are left behind and the parents have to go abroad. So this one is called Mama Across the Sea by Alex Goddard. And it talks about, it's like a letter, and it says, Dear Cecile, how are you? Everything is fine with me. I've just found a good job, but I do not get any days off for a long time. So I won't be coming to see you this year. I miss you. Hug and kiss everyone for me. All my love, your mama across the sea. So it's an interesting story. And as we know, there was a lot of children this has happened to in the Windrush generation. Also, I love drumming. And when I found this book, I said, oh, wow, this is fantastic. It's called In the Time of the Drums by Kim Shegelson and Brian Pinkney. And it talks about, I think I would say from 14 upwards, you could read this book. And it talks about when we were stolen from Africa, we arrived on an island. We never forgot who we were. And the grandmother and the little grandson are very, very close. And she's just actually teaching him a lot of things that was from Africa, the culture. And they spoke via the drumming as well. So she had him from when he was a baby. And I thought this was really a deep, interesting book. How many minutes, Makonnen? Have I got a few more minutes left?
You've got about 4 or 5 minutes. 4
or 5 minutes. Okay. What we could do, we could also prepare ourselves for some of us celebrate Christmas, and some of us have heard about Kwanzaa. And if you want to know more about Kwanzaa, this book is excellent. It goes through the 7 days and the principles. So what you would need to put on your altar, the candles, and how Kwanzaa started by Malana Karenga, sorry. He started the Kwanzaa. So like, for example, the day one is Umoja, so that is unity. And like we're all on this platform and we're all united and we all have a common interest with books, whether you are an author or like me, I'm a bookseller. So the combination is very, very good. And like tonight, we all talked about the different topics within the genre. So yeah, this is what I do. I thoroughly enjoy selling books. Maybe one day I will be on the platform promoting my book. So I can be contacted by email at the moment because my website is still in progress, a work in progress. So the email is Nubian, Nubian, Nigist, Nigist, books, BOOKS7 @gmail.com. But I will put it in the chat. I'll put my details in. And of course, all the authors on the platform, I would love to have your books as well, because my other genre is novels and things like that. So it's also good to hear from our family from across the seas. So I do try my best to promote the UK and Europe authors, because we're very much neglected. And when I've gone to America several times, they're saying, "Oh, is there any Black people there?" So it is always great that we have books from America and Canada and Africa, but we need to promote a lot of our books here. So as I said, thank you very much, Brother Makonnen. You're going from strength to strength, and you try. It must be very difficult to get all the authors on board, but well done. And I missed some of your authors this evening, because I like to be on the show from the very, very beginning. So my humble apologies to those who have spoken in advance and previously, and especially those who've come on the show for the first time. So my apologies, and all those others who are on here as guests, welcome and thank you for coming onto the Black Book Show. And also Auntie Jean, real warrior queen we have in the community, and the work she's doing with the Garvey village. So if you all could stay online afterwards, sorry, Makonnen, I'm taking your spot here, but it would be great for you to stay on and listen to the great works that Auntie Jean does as well. So hope to see you all again for next month's webinar. I try and be on it as much as I can, and I missed last month's. However, keep writing, because you might think that you've got a topic in your head and you think, nah, don't know about that. But yes, somebody will want to read it, and one book can change a person's life and perspective. And we can use an example, Malcolm X. And once he started reading, and he said he read a lot of books in the library when he was incarcerated, and that really changed his life 360 degrees. So we are special people, authors as well as myself, a bookseller and distributor. We have a special role in our community. So I would just like to works. The sister before came on and she talked about motivational skills. Thank you, Josephine. Yes, you can get it online. And yeah, just keep on with your great works. It's needed, especially in this time. Read, read, read. Thank you very much, family. Makonnen, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Sister Lejet. Always a pleasure. Please put your information, the details of where people can contact you in the Zoom chat. Right now, I'm just going to do well, I'm going to do a screen share in a moment. I just want to mention something. Now, I do have a partnership, the Black Book Show, and myself, Makonnen Sankofa, with at the moment with Polyglot Translation Services. The last two previous Black Book Shows, you would have heard Gyrons, who's from Polyglot Translation Services, talk about what he does. Effectively, they are a company that translate books. They're based here in Ghana. I've met him in person, and he should be translating one of my books soon in the future. Polyglot Translation Services is a platform for companies and individuals to reach international audiences in different languages. You know, their website allows individuals and small businesses to order individual translations in a matter of seconds. Over 2,000 qualified translators work on jobs via the platform in all time zones. The scale means Polyglot Translation Services can return simple translations in a matter of minutes in over 55 languages and at a quality level suited to each client. Polyglot's platform takes care of quality control, job allocation, and translation review. This means companies and individuals can focus on their business while Polyglot empowers them to go global. Polyglot Translational Services has been in operation since early 2021 and is headquartered in Accra, Ghana, where I'm at currently. The mission is to offer clients quality translations, render services with the best available native professional translators at the cheapest rates in the industry to clients, utmost satisfaction and convenience. The vision to be Earth's best translation company, giving clients vast international audiences in different languages. Now, basically, in a nutshell, if you're an author that want to translate a book, or you could be even an inspiring author about to publish a book, and you want to get your book translated, they cover 35 different languages. If you contact them through me, there is a promotional code that you will get. So you will get a reduced, a promotional offer via the Black Book Show platform. So what I'm going to do now, before I don't forget, because we're coming to the end of the show, I'm just going to write basically the details where you can contact, where basically you can contact me. I'll send you my email address, which is info@blackbookshows.com. If you send me an email and say you're interested in getting your book translated, I will then put you in contact with Polyglot Translation Services, and then they can take things from there. Alternatively, you can WhatsApp me on +44 7943 178 117. That is if you're interested in translating your book. They will do your quote first, so they will give you a quote or consultation if you want to, so they can see where you're at, what language you need done, how much it will cost. They will take it further, but I would just put you initially in contact with them. You'll get a promotional code, and if you want to do it, obviously that's your decision. And for further information, they're the ones that will take things further from there. So I'm just going to put that in now. So again, info@blackbookshows.com or WhatsApp +44 7943 178 117. Contact me either of those ways, and I will put you in touch with Polyglot Translation Services. Right, we are now coming to a conclusion of the Black Book Show. Just a couple of things before we go that I want to mention. The Black Book Show, the radio show, as I mentioned earlier, I'm also a radio presenter, and I have the Black Book Show radio show. This is the Black Book Show virtual book tour. The radio show, the next show is tomorrow, Monday, the 27th of March on Luton Urban Radio. That is lurlive.com, between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. UK time. If you're in the United States, the times differs. It's on the flyer, you can see, or between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m., whatever, that you would work that out in your time zone. We also have the Black Book Show on Saturday, next Saturday, the 2nd of April. That's the Black Books radio show on Galaxy Radio. I'm also a radio presenter on Galaxy Afiri station. To listen, go on www.galaxyafiri.net or zeno.fm/Galaxy Afiri-net. You'll be able to listen to the Black Books radio show. That is between 6 and 8 p.m. on Galaxy. That's UK time. Now, the best place to keep up to date, as I mentioned earlier, with the radio shows and also other events regarding the Black Book Show is going to be the Facebook group, the Black Book Show Facebook group. If you just go on Facebook and write the Black Book Show, it will come up, and then you can join the Facebook group, and then all the information about the upcoming radio shows, where you can listen, the podcasts and the virtual book tours, information is all there. So that's the best place to go. Right, I'm now just going to hand it over to you, Auntie Jean, very quickly, just before we go, in case it's something that you just might want to say on the virtual book tour, before we come back to me to close the virtual book tour.
I just want to say thank you very much to all the authors that's been on the show this evening. Your information, your books is actually phenomenal, really awesome. And I also would like to say, well, I put my telephone number into the chat for anyone who would like to come onto one of the platforms, either the Garvey Village platform or the Auntie Jean's African Culture Market platform, which comes on the Sundays. To just get in contact with me, and we can come back with your book and elaborate a little bit more, because all of those stories, your books, very, very interesting, as well as yourselves, your story. Each one of you has a story to tell behind your books, as well as your books. So I'll be very, very interested to and welcomely for you to come onto one of the platforms to elaborate more on your books. And Deanne, I remember I've met you. I met you. You were sitting on the. You was at the not Black People's Day. It was Black People's Day that we have down in Catford. I can't remember the name of the thing that Lucian put on every year, but I met you then. And I knew
It's
I knew
People's Day. I'm sure it's People's Day. Yeah, it's People's
Day, isn't it? People's Day.
Yeah, I'm from Catford. Yeah, it's People's Day. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for all the authors and your works. And yes, I also want to give the for our brother Mr. Hines to call on you to come back to the platform with another presentation. Yes, Deanne. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Back over to you.
Okay. Before I go now, Sister Lejet, please put your details in the Zoom chat. Because I see someone's asked for it. I can't. When I look back, I don't think I could see it. Please put your details in the Zoom chat. Thanks everyone for joining the Black Book Show. I'm looking forward, to hosting the show again next month. The Black Book Show happens every single month on the last Sunday of the month. For those who want to stay on, the Black Book Show is closing now, but if you want to stay, Auntie Jean's African Culture Market is going to go on, for I believe another hour, but it's going to continue. So you're all welcome to stay on if you wish to listen to, and watch, Auntie Jean's, the rest of Auntie Jean's African Culture Market. But as far as the Black Book Show is concerned, the Black Book Show, I'm just saying, the Black Book Show has ended now, but again, feel free to stay on if you wish to do that. But I would just like to say, thank all the authors that spoke. I really enjoyed the show. Thank you all that listened, that attended, and I look forward to entertaining and hosting everyone again next month. So take care and goodbye.
Goodbye. Give thanks.